Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, because I'm real comfortable holding that mic. I just want to say thank you for inviting me here this evening to discuss the history of African Americans here in Fort Bend County, which is a rich history. Fort Bend County is the most diverse county, not just in Texas, but in the nation. And that's something we should be proud of. All right. And the history of diversity in Fort Bend County is rich. From the perspective of African Americans, we have played a crucial role in the inception and ultimately the success that our county enjoys today. The settlement of Fort Bend County began in the early 1820s as a part of the Anglo-American colonization of Texas under the auspices of the Spanish government. At the time in Fort Bend County, African American slaves were essential in the development of the county's plantations. As early as 1840, there were already 572 slaves in Fort Bend County. And in 1845, that number has risen to 1,172, placing Fort Bend near the top of counties with the largest slave population in the state of Texas. In 1850, Fort Bend was one of only 6 counties in the state with the majority of the black majority. The labor provided by the slave population made it possible for the growth of the farming economy here in Fort Bend. In 1860, there were 159 farms in Fort Bend County, about 12,000 acres in cotton, 7,000 acres in corn, and 1,000 acres in sugar cane. I was shocked about that. I thought we had more sugar cane. The slave population totaled 4,127, more than twice that of the 2016 whites, which made Fort Bend County farming industries one of the most prosperous farming industries in the state. In 1869, Fort Bend County was the first county in the entire United States to elect a black sheriff, Walter Moses Burton. Burton was also one of the richest landowners who provided jobs for free slaves on his farm. In 1873, Burton campaigned for and won a seat in the Texas Senate, where he served for several years. In the Senate, he championed for education of free blacks. Among the many bills he helped to push through, one that was called for to establish a normal school for blacks. The school is now known as my alma mater, Prairie View A&M University. To this day, African Americans in Fort Bend are playing vital roles in our county, continued success in the areas of medicine, business, and government. In medicine, we have Dr. Jacqueline Mentor, who was instrumental in helping the county during the COVID-19 epidemic. Because of her work, we are now at the level green. In business, Mr. David Moss, an owner of several McDonald's restaurants, some of which are located here in Fort Bend County. His restaurant creates jobs and helps our tax base. He has over 450 employees. In government, we have County Attorney Bridget Smith Lawson, District Attorney Brian Middleton, and me, standing on the shoulders of African American trailblazers like Sheriff Walter Moses Burton, who first won the election in 1869. Now, 151 years later, I am your Fort Bend County Sheriff. Our future, as well as every ethnic group, looks bright in Fort Bend County. Our diversity is our strength. In Fort Bend County, we have the distinction of having not one, but many first-time elected officials of various cultures and races. Fort Bend County is the home of the first Indian county judge in the entire United States, County Judge K.P. George, and the first Pakistani elected constable in the whole U.S., Nabil Shai. The first South Asian district judge in Fort Bend County, Julie Matthews. The first tax assessor collector, Carmen Turner, who's joined me in following in the footsteps of Senator Walter Moses Burton. He was the tax assessor collector and also the sheriff.
Right.
Fort Bend is not only the most diverse county in the nation, we stand as an example to all counties in the country that by working together with all cultures in our community, you will grow and we will grow in areas of medicine, business, and government. The slogan that is often used about our country, that we are the great melting pot, I would like to suggest that that slogan is wrong. We are more of like a great cacophony of cultures, like a symphony. It's elaborate music, compositions of many different instruments. Each instrument by itself makes a harsh sound, but together it makes a great symphony. That's what we are here in Fort Bend County with our diversity. So let us take advantage of our vast diversity here in Fort Bend County and continue to be one of the most welcoming counties for families, business, medical development, and government. Fort Bend County, together, we can do all things. I want to thank you for having me here tonight. If you have questions, I'll be glad to answer. They told me when they invited me here that they wanted to talk about, my history. But when I started researching other things, I wanted to talk about the history of what African Americans did here in Fort Bend County, the great things that they did to do it. But not just African Americans. We have Asian, Anglos, Hispanics that did great things. And we can't forget that Fort Bend County started under the Spanish government. We can't forget that. We have a lot of things that we shouldn't be afraid to bring up. The Woodpecker War. That was an incident that happened here in Fort Bend County. A lot of history about that has been destroyed, but it's coming back up. My thing is we should learn from it. Don't try to hide from it. Learn from it and to move forward and go better. Fort Bend County is a county that opens the doors for everyone, It's not about being a Republican, or about being a Democrat, about being from a different culture. Our rich diversity brings us together, but diversity without inclusion is meaningless. It's just a word. That's why on my command staff, the very first thing I did, I looked for the best chief I could find, the best chief, and that happened to be a female, a woman, Chief Maddie Provost. I selected her. I selected also as one of my captains, a Pakistani. I went out and I looked for the best qualified people. I had them bring in their resumes, So if you look at my command staff, it reflects Fort Bend County. I have every ethnic group on my command staff, and I did that on purpose because I wanted children, little children, this young man in the back, to look at my command staff and say, I can be there.
Yeah.
I can be there. And so I did that on purpose. My history, I was born in Louisiana. I came here when I was 1 year old, not here, but in Texas, when I was 1 year old, to Houston. And I was raised in Houston. When I married the love of my life, Jacqueline Sanders, now Jacqueline Sanders Fagan, I met her in high school. She was a 11th grade, I was in 12th grade. We've been blessed to be married for over 37 years. We were blessed to raise 2 children, my daughter and my son. My son had 2013 went home to be with the Lord. But I'm a Christian, so I know that he can't come to me, but one day I will be with him. So that gives me great pride and pleasure. My daughter, when she was 4 years old, she wanted to be a doctor. We bought her a costume, little doctor's costume. Today, she is a medical doctor. Myself, I went to Sterling High School, graduated from Sterling, and went on to Prairie View, the school that Walter Moses Burton started. It was called the Normal School, and that changed to that. So I have a big connection with Mr. Burton, I should say Senator Burton. I went back there and read that post back there, and I learned something. Everybody knows who Rosa Parks is, right? And she sat on the bus. Well, Walter Burton's wife, I just found out, did it back in the 1800s on a train. She refused to give up her seat back then. So that's something I learned about that. History is a great thing. It's a great thing. It's a great thing for our diversity. I went on to Prairie View A&M University and majored in criminal justice. I graduated first in my class in criminal justice. Then I went to the graduated and worked for the state of Texas as an investigator of welfare fraud and child abuse. Me and another gentleman named Silas Montgomery. In the state of Texas, we were the first African Americans to ever hold that position as investigators for the state of Texas. I worked there for 2 years. I didn't like that job because I was sitting behind the desk typing numbers more than anything else. I did very few child abuse investigation. I did more welfare fraud than anything else. I left the job and went and applied with the Houston Police Department. And I worked there for over 31 years. While being there, I worked in many different divisions. I'm very passionate about mental illness. And the reason why was I worked in Southeast, and I've arrested a lot of people at this one store for telephone Fiesta. I don't know if you all know where that is. And I arrested these individuals for shoplifting. And they didn't understand why I was arresting them, and they would go in. It was a minor charge because it wouldn't take anything but fruit, but the managers would call and stuff. So I had to arrest them, and then they'll get out the very next day, go back, do the same thing, and I'll arrest them again. And the third time it happened, one of the gentlemen started crying because he thought I was treating him wrong. I didn't understand that. It bothered me. So I went back to school to learn about mental illness. And I got my master's in juvenile forensic psychology. For my internship, I studied under a licensed practicing psychologist where I did psychological evaluations on inmates before they went to court. They had to provide a psychological evaluation. So I learned about mental illness. So when I became sheriff, I wanted to do one thing. I learned that in our state of Texas, most people with mental illness you would think would be in hospitals. It's not true. The majority of people with mental illness are in county jails. They're in our county jails. If I was to arrest this young lady for a county charge, then I arrest this young man for the same charge. He has a mental illness. She doesn't. She would stay in my county jail for 30 days. He would stay in my county jail 6 times longer than her on the same charge. You want to know why?
Yes.
Because of his mental illness, he acts out inside the county jail. This happens across the state of Texas, and they file more charges on him. And they stay in our jails 6 times longer than the other person. But this cost the taxpayers. It cost me over $1 million to keep him in my jail, where it cost me anywhere $250 to $300, over $1 million for him. So once I became sheriff, because of the education I had, I stopped that. No longer in Fort Bend County do we file charges on inmates in our jail for minor infractions. We do not put more charges on them. I sent this out to all 250 counties, hoping that they will copy this. The majority of them are doing that.
Wow.
But understand this: when these inmates throw water on my deputies because of their mental illness, something minor like that, and I'm being nice saying water, you don't file charges. But if they injure one of my deputies, physically injure them, we do file charges. We have to have a balanced line. So that's one thing that I did once I became sheriff, to do that.
Are you
Also-
able to get them counseling? Or-
Yes,
Okay.
we have a medical doctor in our jail. We work with WellPath right now. We have a licensed psychiatrist and psychologist that come to our jail to evaluate. Right now in my jail, I have 48.2% inmates that has a mental illness, almost half. Mental illness is something that we have to address in Fort Bend County. It's something that's been ignored for a while. It's no one's fault. It happens all across the
What are
county.
the illnesses?
The mental illness, they're different. Bipolar, schizophrenia, anxiety, major depression, things like that. It's all different kinds. But the thing is, we have to teach law enforcement must learn that it's just that, an illness. It's an illness. If they have the proper medication, they can live a normal life. A lot of people don't realize, a lot of people with mental illness have very high IQs. They have very high IQs, they really do. But it's the illness that takes, so we shouldn't treat them any different. We have to take that stigma away. It's the illness. It's like if you have diabetes, should I keep you in my jail longer because you have diabetes? No, I shouldn't. So I should treat the same with the mental illness.
Sheriff.
Yes.
Excuse me. You say, what's the name of the company that comes through and do the?
WellPath.
WellPath.
We have a contract with WellPath.
So WellPath diagnose?
No,
ones,
it's-
or they
it's a-
come to you already?
Yes,
previously
they're
diagnosed?
in my, they work inside my jail. It's a medical company that has doctors, nurses, and psychologists and psychiatrists. WellPath is a contract that we do every year.
But they will diagnose them and treat them?
Yes.
Okay. I think that was your
But
question.
they don't have the time to treat them. The jail is not the place for treatment.
Right.
It's not, they can't, so I want them out my jail into a
Probably.
proper place. So, look, and the problem is we don't have the beds here in Fort Bend County. I need you to reach out to your commissioners, talk to them about getting a hospital here. Our county is growing. It's growing. We're gonna hit 1 million by 2024, if not before. We have the tax base here, but we are under a little thing called, that they have to stay under 3.5% tax increase by the state. It's not the commission, by the state, but we have to lobby them about having a hospital here for the beds so we can get these people out of my jail into the beds. And the problem is I can't release them onto the streets. And I don't want to say the county's name, but we have problems with other counties dropping off their prisoners into our county. And then we pick them up.
Oh, wow.
So,
How does that work?
well, it's all over. And it's a shame that we look at people as dollar signs. That's something that we look at people as dollars. We have to change that. Change that. The statement from school to prison, that's true. They start looking at building prisons at people in the 3rd grade. How many people failed in the 3rd? That's how they decide how many prisons they have to think about building. How do you change that? It's not me, it's us together. And it's about knowledge, going out and reading, listening, finding out the facts, Look, when I brought up about the mental illness, I have help from the Republicans as much as I have Democrats. We have great commissioners at Fort Bend. They don't look at party lines. I can honestly say that just as many Democrats supported me, it's just as many Republicans have done the same thing. It's about the people. It's about the people. So I need your help in reaching out to your commissioners and let them know the things that I'm talking about medical. I'm not even talking about law enforcement, because you have to look at it. It all fits in together. It all fits in together. The young lady that sits in my jail right now, I didn't do a psychological evaluation on her. You probably saw it on the news. Shot her mother, killed her father. Only thing I can think of to do something like that, there's a problem there. There's a problem there. But the help that, the counseling that she got, she had to drive to Houston. And if we had it here, I'm not saying it would have stopped it, but it would be a chance that she could have got the help sooner before something like this would have happened. I'm supposed to talk about law enforcement, but I am talking about law enforcement. I am. Look, sometimes in Fort Bend County, we have on the streets to protect everyone. In some areas in Fort Bend County, I might only have one deputy on patrol. Might have in one area. Now it's more than one deputy all over, but they're in different areas. I need more help. I need more deputies. And we're the largest law enforcement entity in Fort Bend County. We're the largest, but we're the least paid, one of the lowest paid law enforcement agencies. I'm losing people to go to work at Amazon. I'm losing individuals going to work for other agencies. They want to stay and work for Fort Bend County because of what we're doing and the progressiveness that we're doing it now. But I understand they have to support their families. And I understand that. And the commissioners that I talked to about giving my deputies a raise, they agree with me. They do. But I need your voices to the commissioners to let them know we're losing valuable people. I need you to speak up and to let them know we're losing valuable people. I want to do a lot of proactive things in Fort Bend. I'm a very proactive person. Right now in my jail can hold up to 1,500 people. Right now I'm on average anywhere from 600 to 800 inmates. I want to bring that number down. I want to bring it down. We're addressing the opioid epidemic. Now in Fort Bend County, the Sheriff's Office is working with the FBI to address the opioid epidemic, the meth, gangs, human trafficking, things like that. We're doing that by joining forces with other law enforcement agencies, something this county didn't do in the past. No fault to anyone. I'm not saying that it's anyone's fault, but it's something that we're doing now that we have to do. Crime is becoming more technological. Criminals are becoming more smarter. So in law enforcement, we have to become even smarter. We have to work together. We have to communicate together. We can't keep information from one another. So if an individual, we talk about gangs, let me tell you this before I go on to that tangent. Fort Bend County is one of the safest counties in the state of Texas. That's the first thing I want to tell you. We are one of the most safest counties right here in Fort Bend County. But we do have gangs here. We do have human trafficking here. Now, I have an annual report that is out, and you'll see that Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office have been arresting more people, human traffickers. I've arrested over 100 right here in Fort Bend County.
Wow.
I've arrested gang members right here in Fort Bend County. So when you see the statistic that, oh wow, no, more crime didn't come to Fort Bend County. Don't think that, especially when it's time for me to run again, because I'm really going to try to use it. It's not that more crime came, it's just that we are arresting more people. We're arresting the criminals now. We had a task force a little while ago with the DA's District Attorney's Office and the U.S. Marshals. You may have seen it on the news. We went after the most violent criminals here in Fort Bend County, the most violent. We arrested over 93. We took off the streets of Fort Bend County over 93 guns. Arrested 93, I'm getting them mixed up. But we took out so many guns off the street as well. And also we took off the street narcotics, meth. We took meth, fentanyl, opioids, things like that, because we went after the most dangerous criminals. There was a project that's all we arrested. We had murderers still out on the street. We had aggravated robbers still out there on the street. This is not something that just happens in Houston. It happens here in Fort Bend County. People have to realize gang members, we have transit gang members. And what I mean by that, they drive from other areas into our county. So we started a CRU unit, crime reduction unit. What this does is this. When we see an uptake in crime in any area of Fort Bend, these 5 officers, they go to that one area. Let's say Rosenberg. And these 5 deputies stay in Rosenberg to address that specific problem. They stay there. And they may come in undercover vehicles, unmarked vehicles, or sometimes in marked vehicles. But all 5 of them, they stay. They go as a unit for the protection of the officers and for the protection of you, and to show a sign of force that we're addressing just a simple thing.
Wow.
I want to be proactive, not reactive. We have to be proactive on crime. So that's something we started here in Fort Bend. Yes,
Can I
ma'am.
just ask you a question? Where are they getting the guns, the illegal guns?
We have look, gun shows. We got to do something about that.
Yeah.
These gun shows, when you go to a gun show, there's no, how can I say, way to catch. I can have an illegal gun and sell it to you. We have to make a law about that no longer to do that. So this is what's happening. It should be, and it is illegal, to file down, and what they do, they file down the serial number, and then they sell it, and then you go after the person that filed it down. I want to go after both.
Right.
That can stop it. We have to go after both. If you're found with a gun that the registration is off, that should be a charge, and the charge should be higher than what it is today. It should be high. We have to do something to curb this. Again, I am not against the Second Amendment. I get that every time when I read that. The next day I hear, he said he was against gun owners. No, I'm not. I am not against that. But well, I hope it don't change. But it's gonna say the same thing. Every time I bring it up, it always come out I'm against it. But I'm not. I just want education. That's all I'm asking for is education.
What's the diversity on your staff?
My command staff.
Well, all of it, all your deputies and everybody.
I have a very diverse agency. The exact number I couldn't tell you, but I have all. What I wanted to do, and I can tell you about my command staff, because I get to pick that.
Right.
But anybody can apply for the sheriff's department as a deputy or as a lieutenant.
Well, I didn't know if y'all recruited in the different ethnic and cultural groups
Yes,
to
yes.
help with. I mean, do you find that it helps with the law enforcement and the policing?
Yes, we do. They went to UT, U of H, Sam Houston, UT, Sam
Prairie
Houston.
View.
Prairie View, yeah, we did that. When I became sheriff, went to Prairie View, TSU, Morehouse. We're going to all of them. We still go to other ones too, but we're reaching out to all of them. I've reached out to LULAC. I've reached out to NAACP. I've reached out to all different agencies. As far as my complaints, I made it now where if you have a complaint, a lot of minorities are scared to come to law enforcement. I understand that. We have a kind of a bad rap. Sometimes it's bad, sometimes we earn it. So I believe it's on us to change it. So what I did is I let everybody know you can file your complaint with NAACP. You can file your complaint with LULAC. You can go file your complaint and we will accept it. My agency will accept it. That's something I can't say I created. I learned that from HPD when I was at HPD, that more people were comfortable going to those agencies to file the complaint. Well, I accepted that here at Fort Bend County. We will accept a third party's complaints. So that could give people a better feeling about our agency, and also give them a better feeling about coming to work for us. I try to tell young individuals, if you want to change, the best place you can change it is the inside. Come join us on the inside. I never thought about being sheriff of Fort Bend. I've never thought about running for office before. And the reason I did run, because I lived in Fort Bend County for over 31 years. For over 31 years I lived here. I won one of the highest awards in law enforcement. That was Officer of the Year award. It's very rare for an officer in their career to win that award one time. I've won it 3 times. Wow. I graduated #1 in my class in criminal justice. I went back for a master's degree in juvenile forensic psychology to know about mental illness. And one day, while I was retired, I heard a statement that the sheriff department made a statement that they would have a minority on their command staff if they could find a qualified one. A qualified one. That bothered me. That bothered me because I was sitting there with my daughter and my wife, and that statement was made, and I was like, I've been here 31 years. No one's ever asked me to come here. I lived in Fort Bend for 31 years.
And you worked at HBD?
And I worked at HBD for those 31 years, yes. But I lived here. But no one ever asked me. And when I heard that, I was like, and then I looked at the command staff, there was no one of color on the command staff. Not one. They were all male of one race. That was it. I couldn't believe it. And even then, we were the most diverse county. Even back then, we're the most diverse county. So I made that a reason why I ran. But if you look at my campaign, I never once mentioned that I would be the second African American to hold this office. I never brought that up. I never brought it up. I never brought up the fact that our command staff was non-diverse. I never brought it up. Because I wanted to win on my merit. Now once I won, now I'm bringing it up. But they can never say, no one can ever say I brought that up during my campaign because I did it. I feel like I owe it to other people, to other minorities. Anyone should feel like I can do that. I can run for an office. I could win. And in Fort Bend County, we did it. Look, I wouldn't be here if no Republican wouldn't have voted for me. So some Republicans had to vote for me to get here. But they looked at the experience. And look, Martin Luther King said one time he would like to live in a country where a person is judged by his character. Now, in Fort Bend County, I really believe people are judged by their character. Majority of the time. Do we still have problems? Yes, we do. But I think we have more good people in Fort Bend County than we have bad. Fort Bend County is a very diverse county. And the reason why, because we're welcoming. We welcome other cultures. We have more things in common than we have in difference. I never knew about Islam. Didn't know. I'm a Christian. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, still today. But some of their tenets are the same thing that we want to do here, to help the poor, to feed the poor. It's the same thing in the Christian Bible. But we just see a different way to God. That's the only difference. But we have more in common than we have in difference. And that's in a lot of things. It's just ignorance of other cultures. I was ignorant of Islam. I was ignorant. I have to admit, I was ignorant of that. I was ignorant of a lot of different things that I'm learning now. But we all have to do that. And being ignorant is not a bad word. A lot of people think that you're calling yourself ignorant. Because I was. All that means is I didn't know about it. That's all it means. I didn't know. But if you're ignorant, the only way you stay that way is that you don't want to learn. You don't want to learn. And that's what it's all about. You need to learn and reach out to one another. I want to thank you all for having me here. Yes, sir.
I appreciate hearing all your personal observations. I do have a question that's not related to that.
Okay.
On the human trafficking, is most of that residents in the county, or is that people passing through?
It's transit. The majority of it is transit. We rescued some young ladies that do actually live in Fort Bend County. One of our speakers, when I had the forum, she went to a school right here in Fort Bend County, and she was trafficked by her boyfriend here in Fort Bend County. But the majority of people don't actually live here. But this is a great thoroughfare.
Yeah.
Fort Bend is a great thoroughfare. Yes,
I
ma'am.
had a comment too. We're new to Texas, but I know in New Jersey, they were closing all the mental hospitals, private and public. Because the private hospital, they made them put them in homes or something. And I know we have members in our family that have mental illness.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's very difficult to get help here. I was really kind of shocked when we moved here
Yeah.
to hear that. So I don't know what the solution is. You know, you say build hospitals, well, they were closing them in New Jersey.
Yeah. Well,
They don't want people to be in the hospital. So where do they go? On the streets, or families are responsible for them? And
Or jail.
They're in my jail.
Yeah,
But
right.
the solution
Exactly.
is what you just did now. But talk to your commissioners, talk to your state representatives. A lot of people think that their voices doesn't matter, but that's not true. Flood their phone calls and let them know. Look, votes count. Vote your vote. That's how we change it. That's how we change. Let them know what your concerns are. Let you know what the concerns are. We have a lot of, especially the young generation, they think that when they don't vote, it doesn't matter. I don't need to vote. I don't. And I try to tell everyone, when you don't vote, you vote. You have to let people know, when you don't vote, you actually voted. You voted for the person you didn't want in there. So when you don't vote, you vote. That's how we change it. We have to let our voices be heard. Reach out to your state reps. Let them know your concerns. Look, yes, ma'am.
Back to human trafficking, I worked for an organization for a while, so I became very aware. Are you guys becoming more aware of brothels, that, like massage parlors that pretend to be great, but the girls are enslaved? So have y'all done awareness in that arena versus just the transit and prostitution?
We had an operation
You
at
did?
Valentine just for that.
Okay, good.
We
Thank
did,
you.
yeah.
Thank you.
We arrested over 30 individuals,
Wow.
closed down over 30 massage parlors.
Wow.
Yeah, not just me.
Yeah.
D.A. Brian Middleton, he was big on
Hear
that.
good things.
Yes, so not just me.
I watch Cold Justice, and they mentioned him on there.
Oh, okay.
Because they did a couple of shows here.
Yes.
Sure.
When people come into prison that are perceived to have medical issues, is there a separate area that they're held in?
Yeah, I have a separate section. Yes.
So you're proposing that we should have more mental hospitals
Yes.
available here in Fort
Yes,
Bend
more,
County
yes,
for
we need,
everybody that?
we need a hospital right here, because it's beds, By law, these hospitals are supposed to take these individuals when their time is up. By law, they're supposed to do it, but there's no beds. There's no beds, so they make another order for us to keep them a little while longer. Then there's no beds for me to take them to. I have a problem with dumping people out on the streets. I have a personal, but constitutionally, after I can only ask for so many orders, I have to let them go. I have to. I can't keep them in my jail. But these people are out there on our streets. They're out there on our streets. So it's something that, like I said, I need help from the state reps for you all to reach out. I'm just one voice. I know they're tired of hearing from me, but I'm just one voice. Yes, ma'am.
On mental, this is Mental Awareness Month. We're in it, May. There's a young man in a particular neighborhood. He's a little short, and has family. The family brought him a house, put him in a house, stay there, so he's not with them. After a while, he's doing good, but you can tell when he's off his meds, because he does strange things. Right now, he's busting out windows of people's cars in the neighborhood. Who should we talk to about that? Not in my neighborhood, this is someone that I know.
If it's in Fort Bend, they should
Yes.
call us, or if it's in a city that has a police department.
It's in Fort Bend, Richmond.
Okay, you should call Richmond Police Department or us. I have a CIT unit, a crisis intervention. Y'all know what CIT is, right? Crisis intervention team. They're specially trained to deal with mentally ill people. They're specially trained for that. That service, it didn't start with me. Okay, so I'm trying to tell you, Nell started the CIT, but it was only day shift. They only work day shift. Mental illness is 24 hours.
Right.
So I expanded. So now it's 24 hours. We have it for 24 hours. But I have to thank him for having the foresight to even start it in the first place. But I wanted to expand it. I need even more CIT individuals. Other representatives know, look, I had over 10,000 constituents call me about that. Look, they'll open eyes of the other ones because they know you voted. They know you're concerned. That's why I'm asking you to reach out to your family and friends about this and call the commissioner's court as well, especially about giving my deputies a raise. I'm not even asking for a raise for my deputies. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
There are 17 mayors in this county. How many police departments are there?
Not enough. Not enough. Fort Bend County is more unincorporated areas than it is incorporated. I'm responsible for all of them. Simonton. And what I want to do is put a satellite out there by Simonton, and it's another little town out there. Fort Beasley.
Orchard.
Orchard. Fulshire has a police department, but these other ones don't. So I want to put a satellite out there where deputies, put 2 deputies and a supervisor there. So when they have a call, they're closer to them.
Right.
I don't have the deputies to do it. I don't. I've spoken to the commissioners about it. I've spoken to the mayor of Simonton about it. They want it. The mayor of Kimmelton also wants it. They don't have the funds. You know about contract deputies? Well, certain subdivisions, HOAs hire officers to go. Well, Kimmelton, Orchard, they can't afford that. Because I even talked to, well, can y'all come together and do it together so I can afford to hire a deputy? They can't afford that either. So it's up to the commissioners to do it. I want to do it. I know about it. I even came up with the idea about putting the satellite. I have the plan to do it. I just don't have the manpower or the budget to do it.
Do you find that crimes are being committed by younger children now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you. This has been a very wide. Wide-ranging discussion. I knew you'd have a lot of different ways you could go, and I think you went even more directions than I thought you were. And all of them were great, and we could probably spend an hour on each one of them, but we don't want to be here till 2 in the morning. But listen, thank you, Sheriff Fagan. It's been a while.